You know, my motto is borders, language, culture. The Republicans don't believe in borders. They don't believe in the English language. They don't believe in our culture. They believe in a different fiscal relationship than Obama, and good luck to them on that. But certainly a nation is more than its fiscal realities, is it not? Or am I wrong? Why am I the only one? I'm going to tell you something else. You want to hear this one now? I'm sorry, it's weeks before the book is out. I know that Pinhead just put one out. I mean, Anti-Pinhead just put a book out. And Anti-Pinhead's book has nothing about the culture in it. Anti-Pinhead's book is written for those who think they're superior to the liberal. I guess he's pandering to them. He's doing well, and God bless him. There's room for all of us. I am the only author who took a chance. I include a whole thing on limiting abortion because it's infanticide. You know what people said to me after they saw this manuscript? How dare you put that in there? You're going to destroy your sales. You can't put that in there because no one cares about it. Do you believe that I'm the only one left in America who actually thinks that late-term abortion is infanticide? I can't be the only one. And yet you never hear it discussed. I don't want you to call on abortion because I know many of you are passionate about it, but you haven't heard anything about it. When have you last heard a discussion about English only? For God's sakes, you live in the United States of America. Do you think that the French, being as liberal as the French society is, do you think they would be as foolish as we are to put ballots in many languages? No, it's either you read French or you don't vote. It's as simple as that. Here we have in San Francisco alone a ballot with 8 or 9 languages on it. What do you think that's about? That's to make certain that as many illegal aliens as possible can vote for Barbara Boxer and any twosome Newsom. And that's the way the country has been destroyed. It's been destroyed from within by the devious radical left wing, primarily the ones now running the country, who are possibly the most devious gang that the American people have ever had to put up with. The only reason they haven't gone any further is because they can't get away with it. Because I can guarantee you if Nancy Pelosi could get away with it, I wouldn't be on the radio. I can guarantee you if Nancy Pelosi could get away with it, a lot worse would be happening in this country. Miss Hammer. And she's just a front, by the way, for the Obama crowd. Now, you know all of this, so I don't have to talk about it. I'd rather deal with the epidemiology of heart disease in India with special reference to causation, particularly the study from by Malhotra from 1967. Chicago, Candace, welcome to the program.
Hi, Michael. Thanks for having this study. I just called my dad as soon as the program came on to tell him he had to listen. Because this year he had a heart scare. He was vacuuming, and he had, his heart started racing. And it was the second time it had happened in 2 years, and it scared my mom, and he ended up going to the hospital, and then they couldn't find anything.
Right. And how old is he? I'm not going to diagnose or treat, but I'm going to tell you something very interesting. How old is he?
He is 74.
Mm-hmm. So he's never had these palpitations before?
He had them once before, and the doctor said it was nothing before.
Well, that's because the doctor doesn't know anything about mineral imbalance. Let me give you a little hint right away. The relationship between a racing heart or palpitations and magnesium deficiency or potassium deficiency is well established in literature. And yet I guarantee you that not 1 out of 10,000 medical doctors in this country know anything about that.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yes, so look into foods rich in magnesium, foods rich in potassium. And by the way, does your father eat a lot of salty foods?
No, he does not, but he also has type 2 diabetes.
Look, again, we're going to get too deeply into his case study, and I'm not a physician, so I don't want to get into it. But again, let me go back. In most cases, we don't know what may cause. Sometimes a scare can cause palpitations. But in some cases, and not that infrequently, magnesium or potassium-rich foods can completely stabilize the palpitations or the racing heart situation. Okay? Thank you for the call. People don't realize this. I never heard of that before. Where'd that quackery come from? That's some kind of right-wing stuff. I'm a big pot smoker, and I listen to Bill Markowitz, and we don't believe in that stuff. Well, do what you want. Keep smoking dope. What do I care what you do? You do what you want. I don't care. It's a free country. Don't listen to a word I say. You can go for all the shibboleths of the left and think you're going to survive. Good for you. What's interesting to me is back in the 50s when I was a mere lad, you know which side of the aisle was obsessed with clean water? The right wing. It was the right wing that was obsessed with not putting fluoride in the water. Did you know that? Now, I can discuss that on another show. I'm not going to do that today. But there's some good evidence that fluoride is a massively toxic chemical that has no place in our water supplies whatsoever. There's no question that fluoride reduces the risk of cavities. But there's also no question that fluoride induces a high number of cancers in the population, and your municipal water manufacturers wouldn't tell you that. But I'm talking politics now. It was the right-wingers who were obsessed with a clean environment. The liberals were not interested in this. The left wing was interested in other things, bringing about world communism, whatever, sex, drugs, rock and roll. They weren't interested in these things. It was the right wing that was obsessed with clean air and clean water and clean food. I remember that. I remember it. I remember who was pushing it at the time, and I was a kid. I didn't even associate it with politics. I just knew that they were like, oh, these are these hard-nosed, kind of tough guys. They're interested in clean air and clean water, like a John Wayne. Well, guess what? They were right. And speaking of politics for a minute, again, I'm moving back and forth. A thought occurred to me last night as I drifted off, and when I woke up. You know the years that Russia was a Soviet, the Soviet Union was a communist, pure communist state. I remember there were arguments that the reason communism had failed, the famous pictures of one salami in a butcher store in Poland with a line around the block to buy the meager, supplies in the store. The reason we heard communism failed was not because it was inherently a failed economic system, but the liberals, in particular the college dopes, would argue that the reason the Soviet Union failed was because the capitalist system had prevented it from working. We interfered with their beautiful system. And then it occurred to me that Obama, being the lifelong Marxist that he is being protected by the very same idea. That the reason Obama's failures are not being accepted as failures by the radical left, particularly the college schmucks, is they're saying, oh, God, he had such good ideas. If only the rabid right wing would have let his plans take effect, why we wouldn't be in the trouble we're in today. It's almost identical. Same exact stupid, illogical arguments, if you want to call them that. I wouldn't even dignify them with the word argument, saying that Obama's genius, his Obamonomics, are such brilliance that if only the radical right had let all of them take place, we'd be living in a healthier, more financially stable world. Can you believe this? Huh. Well, that's what's going on. And so that proves sort of in another way that I'm right when I say that Obama is a lifelong Marxist. He doesn't have to walk around saying, I'm a Marxist. He may not even know what he is. Many of them don't even know what they are, incidentally. It is so ingrained in them from their years of talking to each other, getting the BS from each other in the colleges. They don't even know what they are. They don't know what they are. They just think they're better than everybody else. So, there's a statement. The absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. And I concluded my book, Trickle Up Poverty, with that. Because some people won't accept some of the things I put forward in the book about, Obama's lifelong Marxism and things of that nature. And I concluded with that line, which, of course, I didn't invent, but I found it. I thought it was brilliant, and it applies to Obama. The absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. I'll be right back.
Savage.